They say the season begins when Thanksgiving ends. For the Broncos, the season begins in Washington. What's up, Broncos country? My name is Brandon Gilchrist. Well, here we are after the bye week. Hopefully everybody got their rest. The team's coming back into the building. Now it's time for that playoff push. On Instagram, Bo Nix put up a sizzle reel. At the end of that sizzle reel, he showed that the season record is 0-0 and the season starts now. And I agree. The playoff push starts now. The playoff seeding race starts now. And the Broncos are in a great position on the grid to start this race. The team travels to face the Commanders in their first of back-to-back road games. Before we get into the matchup, let's talk a little bit about the word on the beat this week. Well, beyond the Broncos getting a much-needed break from their first 11 games of the season, culminating in a 9-2 record and top position seeding in the AFC, the team stepped away for the bye week. The focus was on rest, and for the organization, a little bit of self-scouting, and of course, securing priority players for long-term contracts. In this case, the Broncos locked down their kicker, Will Lutz, with an extension through 2028. Lutz has been clutch for the Broncos with 8 game-winning field goals since 2023, the most in the NFL. The Broncos also signed Luke Wattenberg to a contract extension, a 4-year deal that keeps continuity on the offensive line. We now have the entire Broncos offensive line on long-term contracts, creating some stability around Bo Nix. Now, Wattenberg is considered one of the better centers in the league from a pass protection standpoint. His opportunity for improvement is definitely in the run game, and you have seen slowly this get better and better over the 2 years that he's been here. This is clearly an indication that they believe he's going to continue to progress, and this is part of the principles of the Broncos, right? Draft and develop. And after starting his first year last year, they've seen enough to make that long-term investment in him. So congratulations to Luke Wattenberg. The Broncos also signed Malcolm Roach to a long-term contract. This is a 3-year deal and keeps the majority of the defensive line, a true strength of this defense, together long-term. Malcolm Roach is an excellent run-stuffing defensive tackle. His personality is also one of the culture guys for this defense and for this team as a whole. Players talk about how much they love playing with Malcolm Roach, and it's evident when he's on the field, he is a difference maker. Congrats to Malcolm Roach. Love that he's going to be on the Broncos long term. Awesome to see the Broncos locking down the core of their team to long-term contracts. This team is focused on making sure that they are winning now and in the long term. And you see that this year is really just the start. All right. Let's talk about this matchup. This week, the Broncos face the Washington Commanders, who currently sit at 3-8. Their head coach, Dan Quinn, joined the organization in 2024 and quickly found a lot of success. Prior to being the head coach for the Commanders, Dan Quinn was the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys from 2021 to 2023. And prior to that, he was the head coach for the Falcons from 2015 through 2020. Known for being a player's coach, Dan Quinn loves to create teams that play a physical style of football. Even though he's a defensive-minded head coach, he is not afraid to allow the offense to attack and be aggressive. Now, in his first year as head coach of the Commanders, Dan Quinn and his team made it all the way to the NFC Championship game, just barely missing the Super Bowl. Thanks to the combination of a good defense and their first-round quarterback, Jayden Daniels, who had a historic run and rookie season. Now, unfortunately, year 2 hasn't been as successful for the Commanders. The defense hasn't been as good, even though they had several returning players. And unfortunately, Jayden Daniels has experienced several injuries, keeping him out of the game. That combination has led to some unfortunate or ill-timed turnovers and losses. Now, the Commanders are also coming off their bye, and they are looking to break the 6-game losing streak that they're on. Now, the Broncos sit at 9-2, going on the road for their first of back-to-back games. They currently sit as the number 2 seed in the AFC, 1 game back of the New England Patriots. Now, winning this game not only helps with pushing for that playoff seeding, it also helps them maintain their multi-game lead in the division. The Broncos need to keep pace with the Patriots, who currently sit at 10-2, if they want to secure the first seed and that first round bye. Now, in his first press conference after the bye, Sean Payton mentioned 3 things that he learned about the team with just doing a little bit of self-scouting over the bye. Number 1, playoff seeding. That is absolutely going to be beneficial for the Broncos and the goals that they have this season in securing that first round bye. That first round bye not only helps the team rest up, but also, you know what? Makes it so that they might eliminate one of those teams that's traditionally in this position, whether it's the Baltimore Ravens, the Kansas City Chiefs, or the Bills. The second thing was penalties. And we all know penalties have been brutal for this team. There have been multiple games where they've had double-digit penalties. This has to get cleaned up. And Sean knows it. The third thing was around turnover differential and making sure that the Broncos are on the positive side of that. For the offense, this means protecting the football. For the defense, this means interceptions and forced fumbles. And this defense has been so close to creating a few more turnovers. They are right there, and it feels like that bottle is going to get uncorked here soon. Let's take a look at the Broncos defense versus the Commanders offense. Now, the Broncos continue to be on a historic pace. They currently have 49 sacks, with the next closest team having 8 less sacks than they do. They are the NFL's best red zone defense, only allowing touchdowns in about 35% of those red zone trips by opponents. They are also the best third down defense, only allowing a 28.9% conversion rate. It's insane. Defensive coordinator Vance Joseph has been spectacular this season. It was actually awesome to hear from him on the bye week when he went on Peter Schrager's podcast to talk a little bit about the Broncos in his own career. He mentioned that Wade Phillips has been a huge influence for him in the way that he coaches, which is really cool to hear because Wade Phillips was the defensive coordinator for the 2015 defense that we all know and love. And you can absolutely see the imprint of that defense on this 2025 defense. Two things that stood out to me from the Vance Joseph interview: he prioritizes players over scheme, and that is evident in the way that these guys play football and the way they talk about how Vance coaches them. He wants to put players in positions to succeed and play to their strengths so that they can go out there and just react instead of having to think when they're on the football field. The second thing was him mentioning them being smart bullies. And I love this term, and I'm absolutely going to adopt this for the remainder of the season when talking about this defense. They are aggressive, they are attacking, but every time that they do it with purpose, and they make sure that their defense isn't exposed when they blitz or when they attack. The smart bullies term perfectly describes the type of defense the Broncos are playing in 2025. Now, coming out of the bye week, I'm excited because the defense is going to be stronger than it's been in a few weeks now. Believe it or not, with the performance they've been putting on, they've still been without some key contributors in Pat Surtain and Alex Singleton. And the hope here is that we get both of them back for this Week 13 matchup. When we look at the Commanders' offense, it's coordinated by Cliff Kingsbury. This is his second year as the offensive coordinator for the Commanders. Prior to that, he was a senior analyst at USC in 2023. And prior to that, he was actually the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals from 2019 to 2022. Now, the Commanders' offense is currently ranked 18th in the league, producing 330.2 yards a game. In passing, 191.6 yards, good for 24th. In rushing, 138.5 yards rushing, good for 6th. And they produce 21.5 points a game, good for 24th. Now, Kingsbury runs a modernized version of the air raid offense, which means he loves to stretch the field. They are not afraid to air the ball out. This is a pass-heavy offense with a physical running attack. They love to use no huddle and tempo. Right now, I believe they're using no huddle about 60% of the time. With that, they love to stay in shotgun or pistol formation. They've also liked to use a lot of jumbo sets when they're running the ball, making sure that they've got a lot of big bodies on the field. They're not afraid to tell you what they're doing when they run the ball. Their O-line this year has been average, stronger in the run game than they have been in the passing game. Even though they revamped the tackles this offseason with Laramie Tunsil and drafting Josh Conerly Jr., they have still allowed more pressure than you would like on passing downs. Right now, the strength of this team is in their running game. They have two backs in Ja'Cory Cross-Kamara and Chris Rodriguez Jr. Chris Rodriguez Jr. has emerged as the lead back for the team. He's used in early downs and on short yardage, averaging 4.7 yards a carry right now. He is the physical downhill runner for this team. He loves to do one cut and run. In terms of Ja'Cory Cross-Kamara, the rookie has emerged as the explosive runner for this team. With great run after contact, he's averaging about 4.4 yards a carry right now. They use him a lot when they use that pistol formation. The Commanders really do have sort of a two-headed monster when it comes to their running attack. And with that, they love to couple that with some misdirection and using someone like Deebo Samuel, who can be used in the running game and the passing game. Now, speaking of the passing game, it's unclear at this moment whether it's going to be Jayden Daniels or Marcus Mariota behind center on Sunday. Coming out of college, Jayden Daniels' durability was a concern for drafters out there, even though the Commanders took him second overall and he had an amazing rookie season, winning Offensive Rookie of the Year. This season, he hasn't found as much success due to injury. Daniels has missed several weeks, most recently a brutal elbow injury, but when he's on the field, his ability to be a dynamic runner is game-changing when it comes to unlocking this offense. Now, Marcus Mariota has statistically played a little bit better than Daniels this year, though his legs aren't the weapon that they are for Daniels. He spreads the ball around pretty evenly, and he's not much of a scrambler when the play breaks down, though he's going to have to be this week with the type of pass rush that he's facing. He's also been pretty solid against the blitz, so the Broncos absolutely will need to be disciplined in their coverage when rushing Mariota. Again, this team is not afraid to put the ball in the air, and I think that's going to be an opportunity for the Broncos to get some turnovers. Now, also in the passing game, they have some weapons in Deebo Samuel and Terry McLaurin. Unfortunately for Terry McLaurin, he's also experienced some injuries this year, and he and Jayden Daniels have just not been on the field at the same time. Most recently because of a hamstring injury, but when he's on the field, he is the clear number one receiver and target for this offense. In terms of Deebo Samuel, think of him as the joker for this team. You can line him up in the backfield. You can use him as receiver. If you know anything about his time with the 49ers, Deebo's used all over the field. As of late, he's been used a lot more in the short game and been more of a possession type of receiver for this offense to help move the chains. Now, the Commanders also have a solid tight end in Zach Ertz, though as of recently, he hasn't been used a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to test the Broncos' coverage ability when it comes to tight ends because we have historically had challenges here. So what's the plan for all 11 on defense against these Commanders? Number one, force them to go the length of the field. I mentioned they're not afraid to put the ball in the air and stretch the field. The air raid offense is all about those long completions. Well, this defense and the way that they mix up coverages and rush the passer should create some confusion and cause Marcus Mariota or Jayden Daniels to hold on to the ball and have to be disciplined in going down the field inch by inch by inch. That also means more opportunities for the Broncos to generate some turnovers. If it's Mariota, the Broncos shouldn't be afraid to attack the middle of the offensive line. Attack the A-gaps. No quarterback likes seeing pressure from the A-gaps between center and guard. But in this case, particularly because Marcus Mariota doesn't rush all that often, this is a great opportunity to disrupt the passing game entirely. Because the run game is the strength of this offense right now, the Broncos shouldn't be afraid to get home with 5 and use the rest in coverage. Mixing up the way that they rush and cover should put them in prime position to shut down the run and cover the pass. Because they like to stretch the field, Marcus Mariota currently leads the league in 10+ air yard passing in the NFL. The Broncos cannot let the receivers get behind them. Priority 2, play for the turnover. This offense is struggling, and the Broncos should be okay with taking a few risks on defense this time around. If they can get home with 5, there'll also be an opportunity to play the ball in the air because they're still going to try to force the ball downfield. When it comes to tackling, whether that's the receivers or the runners, swiping, punching at the ball could create some turnovers and extra possessions for our offense. This team, on more than one occasion this year, has fumbled the ball in key moments of the game. So the Broncos should be able to capitalize on that in this game. This also applies on special teams. Let's take a look at the Broncos offense versus the Commanders defense. Now, the Broncos are coming off of a tough divisional matchup against the Chiefs and a Spagnuolo defense that is known for being aggressive, and that O-line experienced it. They allowed a little bit more pressure than they have all season in that last matchup. I know this line is going to be looking to bounce back and make sure that they protect Bo Nix a bit more than they did in this past week. In the running game, we saw a mix of Jaleel McLaughlin, Tyler Bidet, and RJ Harvey back there. And I would expect that we're going to see a similar combination this time around. As I've said, Jaleel is sneaky good between the tackles, and Sean Payton mentioned so on his press conference. I would expect them to allow him to carry the ball even a little bit more this week. With that being said, the tick should also go up for RJ Harvey this week. Giving him more carries and allowing him to find a rhythm would be huge to be able to unlock before we hit the playoffs. I would also expect RJ to fill the role that he has been filling in the pass game as well. With Tyler Bidet, I don't expect his role to change much. He's been used in third down quite a bit, although there is a hidden gem in Adam Prentice, who also was used a bit more in pass protection and third downs in this past matchup. I would think that would still be applied going forward if the Broncos don't bolster this running back room with another outside runner. In the passing game, Bo Nix played his most efficient game to date this year. What's going to be key here is him having a follow-up performance at a similar level. It was great to see Courtland Sutton targeted a bit more in this one. We want to see those targets stay at being the number one. He is the most reliable receiver for Bo Nix. I actually think Bo's second connection is Pat Bryant. When you throw that guy the ball, he's going to catch it. And as much as they're trying to force feed Troy Franklin, and you can understand why with his dynamic playmaking ability and his explosiveness, Pat Bryant is the second most reliable catcher on this team, right there with Courtland Sutton. I would expect this week, along with Courtland Sutton being number one, that they spread the ball around, including to Evan Ingram. This Commanders defense is vulnerable to the pass. Now, when we look at the Commanders defense, technically it's coordinated by Dan Quinn, most recently taking over that role and responsibilities from Joe Witt Jr. due to the poor performance of the Commanders defense. They currently are ranked 31st in the league, allowing 387 yards per game, 249.5 yards passing, good for 29th, 137.5 yards rushing, good for 27th, and 26.9 points per game, good for 28th. Now, with Dan Quinn taking over, the defense did play much better against the Dolphins, though the Commanders still ended up losing. Dan Quinn loves to play an aggressive style of defense, cover one, cover three. I would expect with Dan Quinn calling plays, the Broncos will see a little bit more man coverage than zone coverage. Their defensive tackle, Darren Payne, has been good at stopping the run, but has not been good at generating pressure up the middle. Bo Nix should have a clean pocket when it comes to coverage in those A-gaps this time around. That being said, we do have some familiar faces when it comes to the linebacking core in Von Miller and Bobby Wagner. Von Miller, of course, being one of the best Broncos we've ever had, and Bobby Wagner being one of those opposing villains that we saw on the Super Bowl year that shall not be named. They have been decent this year at helping stop the run, but again, in coverage, this linebacking core has struggled. So what's the plan for all 11 on offense against this Commanders defense? First, find your runner. And what I mean by that is running should really be a focus in this one. As vulnerable as the secondary is for the Commanders, the thing that the Broncos are going to need to establish before they get to the playoffs is the running game. And this team can also be ran on. Giving carries to the runners that we currently have in the room is going to be important to see who finds the hot hand, who can help make this offense go and balance the attack. I'd like to see runners get series of carries versus being swapped out to give them the best chance of finding some rhythm so you can really truly evaluate who can help carry this offense in the playoffs. Second, dominate time of possession. Whether it is the running or passing attack, the Broncos should have an opportunity here to hold on to the football and really start to refine who they are as an offense. The way that the Broncos attacked the secondary in the Kansas City game should be possible in this game as well. I would love to see Bo continue to attack the middle of a defense, the middle of the field, with interspersed deep shots like they did against KC. When we look at the special teams, the Commanders special teams is coordinated by Larry Izzo. He's been the special teams coordinator since 2024. Prior to that, he was the assistant special teams and special teams coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks from 2018 to 2023. Now, the Commanders special teams has been mixed results this year. They've had a 90-yard kick return from their returner in Jalen Lane, which was a 90-yard punt return touchdown, but their place kicker was recently replaced due to poor performance. They recently signed Jake Moody, who will be making his first start against the Broncos. Kick coverage has been solid for the Commanders, and their punter, Tress Way, has had a very solid season as well. We will absolutely be looking for the Broncos to repeat their performance that they had against the Chiefs. This special teams has been vulnerable to fumbling the football as well, and this should be an opportunity for the Broncos special teams to also create extra possessions for the Broncos offense. Considering it's Sunday Night Football, the Broncos have an opportunity to redeem themselves in prime time after a performance on Thursday Night Football. After getting some well-deserved rest, they have an opportunity here to kick off their playoff push with a convincing win against a struggling Commanders team. I want to see them put together a second consecutive performance of complimentary football. I'm so thankful this season for this team and watching them transform in front of our eyes and having the opportunity to be able to see a lot of it in person. They're going to just continue to get better and better. I'm excited for the back half of this season to see how the Broncos are going to improve before the playoffs begin, because they have a real shot this year if they can put it all together. What are you thankful for this football season? Do you have a go-to Thanksgiving dish? Mine is stuffing with homemade cranberry sauce. It just isn't Thanksgiving unless I've had that. What's it for you? Let me know in the comments. As always, Be kind. Talk to you soon, Broncos country.